Hey, it's Marina, travel experta, and today we're going to be talking about renting a limo. Are you guys ready for an adventure? Let's begin. Growing up in New York City, one of the things that you see all the time are limousines. They are everywhere. I mean, it feels like everybody's in a limo except for you, right? It just feels like that because everybody's getting in or out of limos and whatnot. It's an incredibly popular thing to do. And being raised in the suburb of New York, we rented limos for our prom nights, maybe a couple of my girlfriends for their bachelorette parties. But overall, it's usually for a super special occasion. And there's always this feeling that it's super expensive. And a lot of us have to, rent it so that it's affordable. However, when you leave New York and when you leave the US, especially the major cities, all of a sudden you realize that nobody actually uses a limo. And it becomes even that much cooler the fact that when I do visit New York, I have more access to a limo. So finally, one time I decided that, you know what, I just want to go and check it out and have a blast in a limo. And it just so happened that I was doing this really cool retreat with some of my friends, and the woman who was running the retreat rented a limo for us to just go and hang out and enjoy New York for the day. And it made it really special because it is such a New York thing to do. And interestingly enough, it's not that expensive. Sure, it's a little bit more pricey than, getting into a taxi. However, when you get a limo, and if you are visiting New York, and you could do it as a tour because they have 2 3 hour tours in the limo. So on top of being in the limo, you actually get a tour that you're brought to all these different places rather than that hop on, hop off kind of a bus. Obviously, it makes it a much more luxurious experience. So it just adds that much more to your adventure in New York City. If you have that opportunity, I really, really recommend doing that and putting it in, adding it in. There are so many options. You could do a tour of Manhattan. You could do like going to Broadway. You could go to like a dinner. I mean, there are endless options out there. So you could definitely choose what you want. There are a couple of things that we did recognize that was a little bit of a problem. She rented the limo for 8 people. There was 8 of us, and the ninth was the driver. And when he arrived, he said, "Sorry, it's eight with the driver." And one of us was left out. So it was an incredibly odd situation because it didn't explain it anywhere. And we had to figure out how to rectify it, but it wasn't rectified properly. The point is, when you make your reservations, make sure you say there are 8 of us in the group, not including the driver. And he was really weird. I don't know if maybe he was just a jerk or whatnot, but it kind of definitely dampened the mood for a little while. But again, it was an incredible experience. It is definitely a luxury experience. You feel very New York, or even if you're visiting LA or Chicago or one of those big cities, you could do that, right? Because once you leave there, like being living in Central America all these years, I think in the 20 years that I've been living in Central America, I might have seen 2 limos. First of all, the majority of the streets aren't even capable of handling that kind of a car. Secondly, it's just not a thing to do here. So, as they say, when in Rome or when in New York or when in wherever, it's cool to do something that is part of that culture, even if it is a little bit of a luxury travel. Sometimes you just got to treat yourself well. So remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please share and leave me a review. And if you want to make more of your day with more adventures, I have a ton of free ones and a little bit of on the luxury side. Go to travelexperta.com or travelexpertwithana.com. And remember to make every day an adventure.